Alright, well. This has been fun. So, the Diablo servers seem to have had a serious problem today. And unfortunately, some of my characters are just gone. And including the character that I had the furthest leveled up, Paladin. So that kind of makes me mad. Yeah, and my druid character, I get this every time I try to load him. It doesn't think I'm connected to the server. Let me try to create a new one. Alright, let's see. I'm trying to get him a pally because he's my favorite. Let's see. Salt. I don't even know how to spell. Hey guys, how you doing? Jason is here. Bradley says hi. John DeMarco is here. So my audio's a little low. I'll try to adjust it a little. I don't want it to distort. Let me see if I can bring it up a smidge. See if that brings it to a better level. Alright, how's that? See if that sounds a little better. Yeah, so tell me if that sounds a little better. And so, yeah, and you can see T'Pring is right here by me, my side. You know, trying to figure out what the heck is going on here. And so that's about it. All right, so let's see. And Eric says, how's D2R been for you? Well, I've really enjoyed the game. It's just today, up until today, I haven't had, I know some people have had nightmarish times with the servers. I haven't had any major server issues until today. And now all of a sudden it's like I'm getting problems left and right. Let me see if it lets me create a character. All right. So this game is no longer available to join. Okay. Let's go. Let's try this. Let's exit Diablo. So it says, we are aware that some characters remain stuck in closed games. It's like, what? And then put him in a game. Alright, so we got D2 Resurrected, connecting to battle.net. Alright, so we got Salt Substitute, play, creating game, loading. See,
Good day.
There we go. Okay. Granted, I'm level 1, but hey, I'm in the game. There we go.
Well met, no.
Alright, so... Well, I got all my stuff. Well, that's nice. I got plenty of town portals and stuff. Well, at least that's not a problem. I'm rich. Alright, so let's see. What do we need for that? Lots of strength and dex. We got It requires level 3. I can put this on. Storm Crack. That's a nice sounding thing. Okay. And Bradley, I have to disagree. Usually Blizzard is, and I guess this is just a funny thing, because Blizzard actually always had a reputation quite the opposite. Blizzard's reputation was one that they would not release a game until it was ready, regardless of what that meant for timing. For the longest time, Blizzard's reputation was, yeah, we'll release it when it's done. So that's something that I'm rather disappointed by. All right, so here we are, level 1 Paladin, but with much better gear than I deserve to have, so that we should be able to breeze through these first couple of quests. So he says, have you given your dog? Yes, the official name for the little bat dog here is T'Pring. So that is, and so she's. I try to keep her in a blanket because, she is a Chihuahua, and Chihuahuas are very sensitive to being cold, and she's just a baby, so trying to let her be comfortable. Yeah, that's right. I don't want you to get cold. All right, so let's see. Hopefully, I wonder if the controls are jacked up. We'll find out.
I will cleanse this wilderness.
Yes, indeed. We'll cleanse the wilderness. So I'm not really all that worried about finding gear right now. I got decent gear once I can level up. I just want to level up. So you picked a dog. Oh yeah, it's your Gidget, Gizmo, or Daggett. I actually we were talking about Muffet, but her looks and personality just don't fit it. I will grab gems. Yeah, but generally, and was it Alt? There we go. And we should always identify charms so we get the benefit. Requires level 5. Then what's the point in having it drop right away? Now, one thing I gotta say, if you've never played Diablo 2, one thing I really like about Diablo 2, as far as comparing it to more modern RPGs, is you have to, the skill tree, while it's relatively simple, there we go, we'll go right to it. So this is the Paladin skill tree. Each character class has its own unique skill tree. See, so my last dogs were Springer Spaniel was very prone to problems like pancreatitis, fed them on roast chicken, rice, not too much fat. Chihuahuas are actually fairly sturdy dogs as far as health is concerned. They're fragile dogs physically, so you got to make sure, like they tend to get very cold easily. So you want to make sure they always have blankets and stuff like that, because they're little frail things. That's why they shiver all the time. And Average says, I was just watching Martin Short listen to Heather Small album and suddenly thought, I wonder if Mike is streaming. Jerk. And Bradley says, T'Pring is a great name. It's actually one I suggested and wanted. Yes, I think T'Pring fits. She's got pointed ears, so there we go. And Donnie's here too. So, all right, so let's look at this. So, the Paladin tree is divided into 3 sections, defensive auras, offensive auras, and combat skills. And the game makes you think about your choices here, which I like, number one. And your choices have consequences. Unlike Diablo 3 and other modern RPGs, you don't get to just poke around and do stuff and then change your mind later. You can reset your skills once, but only once. If you want to do another respec, it's very costly to do it. And so generally speaking, you only get to do it once. So you need to think about what kind of a build do I want to do? Do I want to build a defensive character? If so, what kind of defenses do I want? Do I want to bother spending all the points? So if I want redemption, for example, which is an aura, and that's going to be my main aura, then do I want to spend any points on offensive auras? Because if I keep in mind, you can't have two auras going at the same time. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to max out both defensive and offensive auras unless you're buying a skill that gets a bonus from having points in another skill. How do you know this? Well, you can look on your skill tree. So I'm going to be building a very unpopular build. Not because I think it's an awesome build for stats, but because it's a build I just happen to like. Let's see. BK Dance this evening. Hope your day was good. Thank you, my friend. I'm all right. I'm kind of tired, but I'm gonna do this for a couple hours, and then I'll have dinner with the wife, and then probably do it some more when I should be sleeping because she won't let me sleep. Professor Brady Speck says, blah. One of these days you're going to say something other than blah. And then, let's see. Great idea to bring a woolly coat that looks like a Starfleet uniform. Okay. Oh, yeah, I was thinking about that. I want to get her some little Starfleet uniforms to wear. I got to find some good ones, though, that are Chihuahua size. John DeMarco is in the house. Mike Richards says, greetings from Columbus, Ohio. How you doing, John? All right, so the unpopular build I'm going to be building is a Foden is what they're commonly... I really hate the nicknames that they give these characters, but basically the Fist of the Heavens is going to be his primary attack. It's a very powerful attack, but its biggest weakness is that if you're going up against a character that is lightning immune, it's worthless. However, that's why you need a backup attack in case you go up against something that's lightning immune, which I have a plan for. Now, when you look at Fist of the Heavens, notice it says that it receives bonuses from Holy Bolt and Holy Shock. So that means that along with Fist of the Heavens, I will be maxing out Holy Bolt, which is this skill right here, and under offensive auras, Holy Shock. And so those are the skills that I need to max out. Now, keep in mind, you get one skill point per level. And max level is 99. You also get a bonus skill point for doing the Den of Evil. And so you get basically 100 skill points. So maxing out those three skills, well, that's 60. Plus, you need to put 1 point in a couple of skills to get to them. So we'll just say roughly, we'll say 70 points. That leaves you about 30 points left over. So with the 30 points left over, you can then build up whatever your secondary attack is going to be. And in this particular case, I'm going to make a Zealot. And so I'm going to use Zeal right here, which is another very powerful attack. But this is a physical attack. And yes, Holy Shock, by the way, is great. It just adds lightning damage to everything you do. And it just randomly zaps people just for being near them. I love it. So Zeal is a powerful melee attack. And so so Zeal will be right here. And then Zeal gets a bonus from Sacrifice, which is right here. So what we'll do is we'll end up putting points into Zeal and Sacrifice, our remaining 30. And that's where we'll go. And that's my build. And I don't know if that's what... I'm sure that somebody has done this build before. I don't know. I'm not following a build guide. I'm not following some other person's ideas. This is just something that I was thinking of from when I used to play before. And so that's what I'm planning on doing with this particular build. So I have level 1, so which means I can either put a point in might to put my, as far as what. So just so you know, defensive auras, we're putting 0 points in. This is an offensive build. All right, so we're not putting any points into a defensive posturing. So to start out, we need to put points in might and in sacrifice. Now might will only get a single point because on this board, the only thing that's going to get maxed out, we're going to put 1 point in might, 1 point in holy fire, 1 point in holy freeze, and then 20 points in holy shock. That's the only thing we're going to put on this board. On the combat skills, we're going to probably put about 10 points in sacrifice, 20 points in zeal, 1 point in vengeance, 1 point in conversion, 20 points in holy bolt, 1 point in blessed hammer, and 20 points in fist of the heavens. And that's our build pretty much. And that might not add up to exactly what we're doing, but that's the plan. All right, so do we want our initial point to go into might or into zeal? Or sacrifice. I think I'm going to go with might first, and then we'll turn it on. So that little glowy thing means that the aura of might is now turned on. And we can move on. So that's how you do a build in Diablo 2. It's simple, but elegant, and it does require thought, because once you start pouring points into your build, like I said, you can respec your character once. But once you've used your respec, you're done. And the only other way to respec your character is to start over. All these Kurogans. Almost every time I play Diablo 2, I end up making a necromancer set up as like a barbarian that can summon skeletons. I've never liked the necro, but everybody has their favorite. Everybody that plays Diablo anyway has their favorite class to play. And I know that the necromancer is a popular one. Sir Salty, Knight of the Sodium Crusade, bringing condiments to the masses. Yes, indeed. No one should be without salt. And so I will make sure that the world is not without salt. With my Scepter of Lightning, which is really more of a... It actually looks like one of those big, long pepper shakers if you look at it. When we zoom in on it. It looks like I'm carrying one of those big, long pepper shakers you see at the fancy restaurants. Stamina potion. Boy, I didn't think those were invented yet. And once again, Professor Brady Speck says, blah. which I don't understand. Why you always say blah, Professor? Hey, look, a cow. Sounds delicious. Into the den of evil we go.
Dwells within this cave.
Also known as one of the abandoned Perogan mines. And John DeMarco throws a dolphin in there because Dolphini, the more refined tuna fish choice. And Darren says hashtag justice for Auntie. Not sure why. Let's see. You may be Sir Salty, but I am Condiment King because I have 3 bottles of ketchup in the pantry. Well, you may need to talk to Condiment King, Batman's rival there in Gotham City. And yes, move. And if you've never seen the cow level in Diablo 2, it is so hilarious. The voice acting for the cow level is absolutely great. And John DeMarco says, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. No, the Dolphini. What? Dolphini. It's the only brand of tuna fish produced by dolphins. No, the cow are those things just in mass and kill on the cow level. Oh, I love the cow level. I thought when they, like I said, the actual voiceover work on the cow level is so hilarious. I mean, that's what makes it worth it to go to the cow level over and over and over. He's Chief Pretender on my ranch-covered throne. Oh, I'm sorry, I did not know that. A grocery delivery person substituted Hunts for Heinz on my order, gave them 0 stars. Wow. And yes, Eric, I know that the shamans resurrect the little guys. I know. Believe me, I've played this game more thousands of hours than I care to count. Well, not this one, but the original. You know, this version. Let's see, anything here I'm worried about? Not really. It's sometimes getting to the shaman is the hard part. I hate the way the little guys always run away from you. And I'm one of those people, like, I know that, like, if you're doing a speed run, you just kind of ignore them. But, of course, to get to the den of through the Den of Evil, you have to kill everyone anyway. But, yeah, I always chase down the little guys when really, except for in the Den of Evil quest, you don't bother. I should have gotten some stamina potions. I didn't think of it. So I could keep running. Especially early on, I didn't realize just how valuable the stamina potions are. But I only have one of them. And yes, the sarcastic moo is great. Yeah, I love moo, 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 moo. That's my favorite line in the game. All right.
My duty here is done.
So he took a crap, it sounds like. My duty is done.
You have cleansed the den of Eden.
Alright, let's see. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to need any of these potions. And where's... What's her name? The woke chick?
Hi there.
Right, oh, that's nice. But needs some money. Let's see. Check to see do I have any belts I can actually. Yeah, I got a. Adds a little stamina. That's a good thing. And what does this do? Heal stamina. There we go. And all resistance is 7. Durability. Oh, here we go. Alright, and for it's better defense, but I like that replenish life and replenish mana. So alright. We can put on the helmet. There we go. So now, although since we can put the helmet on, I can take this and yeah, we'll replace it with this. Now we're doing pretty good. And we'll just work on putting the rest of the armor on over time here.
Greetings.
Yeah. Shut up just a minute. Alright. Put these away. Can't merge those till we get a Horadric Cube, which is going to be a while.
Welcome, Outlander, to our glorious
And
hovel.
let's see.
I know you're here to challenge the evil that's driven us.
The
from
only
our
other thing I wish
ancestral
they could have
home.
carried over from Diablo
know
3
this.
is the player
Akara
loot,
may be
so
our
ninjas
spiritual
like me
leader,
don't get
but I
yelled at.
command the rogues
Yeah,
in
I
battle.
did like the
It will
individual
take more
player
than just
loot in
killing a few
Diablo
beasts
3.
in
That
the
was actually a
wilderness
kind
to
of a
earn
cool
my
idea.
trust. My rogue scouts have just reported an abomination in the monastery graveyard.
Alright, we're on it. And, oh, we got another new skill. Let's go to combat and put sacrifice on there and change our standard attack to sacrifice. Not that we need the extra damage at this point, but might as well. Let's see. It might not be the actual delivery person who made the decision to substitute. I was a waitress. People would be illogical thinking I had burnt their steak. I wanted to say out loud. Hey, did you not see me here within sight of you and how I could not have burnt your steak? Yeah, I guess it would kind of depend on if it was one of those shopping services versus like
Yes?
just a delivery service. Alright, so we got everything going there. Alright, now let's go find the monastery or the whatever the graveyard thing.
Come on.
Ah, shoot, it did change it. I'm gonna go. Alright, let's... Stupid game. This is something that is really... I gotta find out how to report a bug. Because I am really tired of going in here and changing these settings every freaking time I go and play the game. Alright. This is just getting to be a little tiresome here. Did I finish D1? No. But the problem is that, yeah, D2 Resurrected came out, and it's like, yeah, I ain't looking back at D1 right now.
Beware. Beyond lies mortal danger for the likes of you.
And Professor Brady Smux is growling and saying it's Matthew's fault. What is Matthew's fault? I'm quite curious now. I mean, granted, I'm sure it is Matthew's fault. Don't get me wrong. Man. There he is. I just realized I'm not drinking a health potion, so it's probably a good idea to just get out of there. Oh, nice. There we go. Whew, all right. Darren says, so how would you rate the new version of Diablo 2 thus far? Well, I would say this, Darren. If you like the old version of Diablo 2, it's awesome. It is definitely, I mean, one thing I really do like is that the developers definitely lived up to their goal of keeping the core gameplay exactly the same. And so it is not a reimagining of Diablo 2. It feels like Diablo 2. And so if you are a Diablo 2 fanatic, you will not think, oh, this is you know, this is not to Diablo what you know, Star Trek Discovery is to Star Trek. This is not, you know, some abomination that calls itself Diablo. That being said, if you're not a fan of Diablo 2, if you don't like the style of gameplay that Diablo 2 was, then you're going to hate this game because it's the exact same gameplay. About the only thing that they changed with gameplay is the fact that you can now zoom in. That's it. And that's not even a radical change in gameplay, right? All that just means that you can make it so you can see a little bit less. And actually, all they're doing there is making it so that you can toggle. If you think about the original D2, it's making it so that you can change from the original, because D2, when it first launched, I remember when it first launched, it was only available in 640 by 480. Then when the expansion came up, when the expansion pack came up for Lord of Destruction, they added higher resolution graphics. And so all the zoom does is kind of make it so you can switch from the 640 by 480 to like a 1024 by 768 resolution, except in a 16 by 9 format. And so Darren says, so is it just a visual upgrade? Is it just a visual upgrade? Not exactly. There's behind the scenes, there's a lot more than just the visual upgrade. Like they removed the TCP/IP protocol for multiplayer and incorporated it into BattleNet. They also created an online versus offline mode so that you can create online characters and offline characters, so people that don't want to connect to the internet all the time can play it offline, but those characters that they create for offline play cannot play on BattleNet. So there's things like that they did change. But the core gameplay has not changed. They also redid the menu system a little bit, stuff like that. But they did not, but as far as its tweaks, and they also did things like one of the things that, and I'll show you right now, Darren, and this is honestly what they refer to as quality of life changes. But this is a big change to the game, but it's not a change to gameplay, and that's the inventory. So notice you have a personal stash, and then you have 3 tabs that are shared stash. And so these are shared with all of your online, and notice it even says right there, shared with non-ladder characters. So when they get the ladders going, which they have, at least for my stuff, I didn't have the option to create a laddered character. You can share with all of your common characters in that form. So you can share with all your non-laddered characters or laddered characters, etc. So you don't need mule characters anymore to transfer inventory from one character to another. So that is a big change. They did stuff like that to basically allow for things that people were doing workarounds for anyway. So no, it's not just a graphical upgrade, but the graphics upgrade is the biggest thing. PC or console, BK, yes. It is on both. And while it is not cross-console gameplay yet, apparently that is in the works, but they had some problems at launch to get that going. It is currently cross-platform saving, meaning that if you create a character on, say, the PS4, you can then log into your Battle.net account on the PC and play that same character on the PC. And so, which is kind of cool. So if you're on the road and you play, say you're on the road and you play it on the PC, but then when you get home you want to play it on your PlayStation, you can absolutely do that. And they do also offer what they call couch co-op. So if you want to have multiplayer on a PlayStation where, you know, people are sharing one PlayStation with different controllers, you can absolutely do that. So little things like that are absolutely there. But the let's see, is there anything good here? +3 energy, don't care. 1 energy and mana, don't care. Let's sell this crap. So it's not just a facelift of the
order
game,
welcomes you.
but the facelift is the most noticeable thing, obviously. And I do think it's kind of cool that you can take the facelift off with a single keystroke to be reminded that this is actually what the game looked like 20 years ago. You know, so the old sprite-based game is in fact running underneath the new 3D rendered game. Oh, we didn't identify that charm. Let's see. +2 dex. Yeah, we'll keep it for now. Oh, and let me take a look at my inventory real quick. Alright, so over here, like to get my good armor, I just need 48 strength. But if we look at character, so I have 15 strength points. My base strength is 25. So I could only get it up to 40 right now. I need to gain at least 2 more levels if I wanted to do that. Let's see. That requires level 9, required level 5, required strength of 30, required strength 47, required, okay, so looks like we're going to be putting, to get the gear going, we're going to need to just put everything into strength once we get 2 more levels. And let's see, Darren says, I'm waiting for an official remaster remake of original Half-Life. I would love to see Valve do a Half-Life using, yeah, put the love into a Half-Life remake. I would love to see a remastered Half-Life. I'm with you on that, Darren. I played a couch co-op Diablo 3 on my Switch with my uncle. It's quite amusing as he's never played video games before. That could be fun. Looks like he plays a lot like Fate games. I've never played Diablo 1. I've never played Fate, so I'm not 100% sure on that. Darren then says, blah. Not sure why. Sister says, I remember using Rit's leg as my main weapon for fun. And Switzer then says, blah, blah. Back at Darren, I'm presuming. A lot of blah in the chat today. What's with you guys and saying blah today? Bunch of weirdos. Anyway, Darren, you may, I don't know, you may not care about what they did. I think it's cool. I do. Now, I'm also an old school Diablo fan. Me and my wife played Diablo 2 a lot when it first came out. Like I've said before, thousands of hours. And so she is, she's actually a little disappointed that, because of what happened with the idiots at Ashurion and the fact that I don't have my primary computer is the only reason she can't play it with me, because we don't have a second computer for her to play it on. And, which is too bad, because she would love to play it with me. Ah, crap. So it's like nuclear atomic intelligence and nuclear atomic superpowers versus nuclear. What? Has nuclear atomic intelligence and nuclear atomic superpowers via nuclear atomic energy. I have no idea what that is. What that sentence is trying to communicate. Yay! Strangling gas potion. Always fun when doing crowd control. But I need level 6 to use it. And I am level 4, so got a little ways to go. Let's see. Fate is strictly PC game from mid-2000s, 2010. Fate 2 is like from... You know, the title sounds familiar, but I don't know if I played it. Mana recharge, blah. William Walsh says, I'm debating getting this game. I'm uncertain if I should because the coast is 2/3 of the 10 train ticket. Wait, the cost is 2/3 of a 10 train ticket. They fleece my route, and I may have to choose between birthday celebration and this. I can understand that, you know, sometimes you got to make those hard choices, and I don't know. I can't make that choice for you. I know that I enjoy the crap out of Diablo. I can't, you know, with what I'm going through with my health, I can't get out much, you know, and so for me, this is something good because Diablo is a game that I can still play, fortunately, because it doesn't require, it's not a first-person shooter where it requires a lot of precision. As you can see, though, I could probably use a little more precision than what I'm capable of. There we go. Nothing here really all that important. But it's a game that doesn't, it's not like a shooter or something where, or a game where you're, you know, having to click on very, very precise things. And that's something that for me, you know, it's harder and harder to find games that I can actually play. Yes, you still look like a bat to me. I don't care. Your name is T'Pring, but you look like a bat. There you go. And so I think it just kind of depends on the individual whether or not, I mean, why are there dislikes? I don't know. You know, Kurogans. William says, I totally get that. I still have D2 Lord of Destruction installed at home and several characters in single player. My understanding is, by the way, just so you know, and I didn't know this until just the other day, but there is a procedure to convert those characters into the Resurrected version. Now, you can only convert them into the single-player version of Resurrected. You can't bring them into multiplayer. But yet you can convert them into Resurrected so you can play them with the new graphics upgrades and stuff. Which I wish I knew about that, you know, because I didn't, and I don't have any of my old save games files. But that's kind of cool. So yeah, if you have a legacy copy of D2 on your computer, you can in fact convert those characters into D2 Resurrected. Anything of any value? Not really. Now, you know, one thing I would like to see, especially after playing so much Diablo 1, in the week before the release. And I don't know why Blizzard has just totally, like, it's like they completely washed their hands of Diablo 1. And I really don't know why. I think they should seriously consider a remaster of Diablo 1. Because, I mean, yes, the game is even slower pace than Diablo 2. Granted, Diablo 2 is a fast enough pace that it still fits the modern hack and slash. And in fact, Diablo 2 is really the king of the modern hack and slash. But but I think that Diablo 1 would still appeal to a lot of people. I think that people that would want to, they could, that want to learn the backstory of the Dark Wanderer and, and these other characters that you end up fighting, like the mission that we're on right now, the abomination in the graveyard that we're about to fight, is the rogue character from Diablo 1. Right? And so, but what you could do is, and honestly, what I would love to see them do, because for those of you that don't know, they did. Oh, and this is another thing, Darren, if you're still listening. Another thing they did do is, besides the graphical upgrade to the game itself, they didn't just remaster, they completely redid the cutscenes from the ground up. The basic, like the basic cinematography of the cutscenes is the same, so they didn't like radically change where, what the the camera angles or what they're showing, but they redesigned every shot, they redesigned every 3D model, they redesigned everything in them, and wow, they are beautiful. And if they put that kind of work into actually creating the story around Diablo 1, because the problem with Diablo 1 isn't honestly, I don't think the problem with Diablo 1 is the slow pace of the gameplay. I think the problem with Diablo 1 is the fact that there isn't much of a story there, except for if you have to read the books and you have to play Diablo 2 to kind of get what happened. There's more story about Diablo 1 in Diablo 2 than there is in Diablo 1. And so I think where you could really, in a remastered Diablo 1, you could create cutscenes, you could add a lot to that game to flesh out those characters and to make their eventual failure at the hands of Diablo feel that much more tragic. And by the way, my understanding, and I haven't finished Diablo 1, much less finished it with all three character classes, but I would say that I think it would be, you could, my understanding is there's only one ending cutscene for Diablo 1, and that's based on the warrior. Because the warrior is, of course, the Dark Wanderer Diablo 2. And so how about we do a cutscene for each of the three characters of Diablo 1 so that you could show basically how each one of them ends up in their respective fates that they end up in Diablo 2. And I mean, that could be really good stuff. And then you could remarket the game as a prequel to Diablo 2. And of course, Cinnabon, being the troll that he is, talking about how horrible this game is, because Cinnabon talking about what a joke it is to pay $40 for this game, while Cinnabon is spending thousands of dollars for a toy spaceship. Just put that in perspective. Anyway, and Rodan also thinks it's too expensive. I'm not gonna lie. You know, now look, it was gifted to me from Wesley Crusher, which I truly appreciated, Wes. If you're seeing this, but if Wesley did not gift it to me, now granted I'm kind of broke right now, so I wouldn't have gotten it as soon, but I still absolutely would be getting this game. Why? Because I like good storytelling, and I like the story in Diablo, and I wanted to see the remastered version. The same reason that, by the way, I would buy a remastered version of Star Trek the Original Series, despite the fact that I already know the story of Star Trek the Original Series, right? Because it's good storytelling. And so, you know, and if it's good, it's good. I just realized I leveled up and I wasn't paying attention. Let's see. Yikes. The guys are getting annoying. Let's see. Cinnabon trying to say it's a $20 game because Cinnabon's just, too busy spending thousands of dollars on a toy spaceship. And let's see. And it's an ugly toy spaceship. The ugliest ship, well, one of the ugliest toy ships. One of the ugliest ships in Star Trek. I mean, if it was at least a good-looking ship, I might understand it. But, if you wanted me to spend thousands of dollars on a spaceship, I would at least want it to be a spaceship that when I looked at it, I wasn't embarrassed. But no, you go right ahead and turn your nose up at me having a $40 video game. And let's see. We're having fun, that's what counts. Absolutely, Rodan. And I know I'm just giving Cinnabon a hard time because, I actually think what Cinnabon's doing with his Enterprise D model is pretty cool. He's streamed. And by the way, if you're not already, you should be subscribed to Cinnabon's channel if you're curious about that Enterprise D build. I do think the Enterprise D is an ugly ship, but it's still a very interesting process to see him put it together. I just personally couldn't see doing it unless they did it for like the Enterprise, the refit Connie or something. Then I would do it. Anyway, and yes, you're right, Cinnamon. Path of Exile is free. I would not say it looks as good. I think that I think this game looks a little better than Path of Exile, but Path of Exile is a good-looking game. I think Path of Exile 2 looks just as good as this, if not a little better. But the Path of Exile, I'm sorry, the lore of Path of Exile sucks, and that's what hooks me in Diablo. It's not the fact that like, granted, this is not particularly great looking, but this is better than Path of Exile. Why? Because the story is better. And so it's not about that. And it's not about whether or not it's the better looking game. It's about whether or not it's the better story. And Diablo has a really good story. Path of Exile has got what passes as a story. All right, let's see. So we're not doing any defensive orders. We have unlocked Holy Fire. And we've unlocked Holy Bolt. All right, so, and we're going to switch from Might to Holy Fire. So what Holy Fire does, it's really handy. Might simply increases damage that we do. And thank you, John, for putting Cinnabon's Enterprise D model build. And yes, so it's the story of Diablo 2 that is what makes it. Exactly. The story of Diablo 2, and especially as it fits into the Diablo mythos from 1, 2, and 3. The Diablo mythos is so good. They really captured lightning in a bottle with this series of games. And, and I get it.
Maybe Akara could dispel the
if you're one of those people that just cares about gameplay, and I mean, I'll be completely honest. I try to be as completely frank and honest as I can when it comes to this kind of stuff. If what you care about is gameplay and gameplay and gameplay, if that's what you care about, then I will tell you straight up, Path of Exile is the smarter choice. Because Path of Exile has got a better skill tree than Diablo. And Path of Exile is free to play. And also, it is a true free-to-play model. It's not a pay-to-win. It is a free-to-play. And the way that their free-to-play model works is that they do have microtransactions, but their microtransactions are 100% cosmetic and utility, meaning that you can purchase like inventory space, stuff like that, but you cannot buy XP boosters. You cannot buy anything that actually improves your character's performance. You cannot buy weapons. You cannot buy armor. But you can buy skins for your weapons and armor. So, for example, while you can't buy the multi-phase short sword of the bat, you can buy a skin that makes your short sword glow and look like a bat, or something like that. So that's the Path of Exile model, and I believe in that. But the story in Path of Exile sucks. If you don't, but if you don't care about the story, if what you care about is whacking monsters upside the head with your cool-looking sword, then yeah, absolutely, Path of Exile is the way to go. You can buy the cool-looking skins that you like, and then just play to your heart's content without ever having to worry about spending a dime. And you will always get your money's worth out of the game. And if you decide that you just don't want to spend any money on the game whatsoever, don't. And Rodan, if you like the Enterprise D, that's fine. You can be wrong. You absolutely have my permission to be wrong. I personally think the Enterprise D is an ugly, 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 ugly ship. It's top heavy. It's bloated. It's just ugly. Now, don't get me wrong. If you like it, great. Enjoy the crap out of it, because aesthetic appreciation is entirely subjective. You know. But, you know, that's why I said I could not spend the money on the... I mean, I think that the idea of that Eagle Moss you build it model is an interesting one, but on the Enterprise D, oh, count me out. If it was the Connie refit, oh, heck yeah. I would, you know, once we move and we get settled into our new place, I would sign up for a Connie refit, build it thing, and even though I can barely use my hands, I would figure out a way to do it. But for the Enterprise D, heck no. Heck no. And Professor Brainy Spec says the Tubby Excelsior class is ugly. I don't know. I don't think the Excelsior is... I think the Excelsior had to grow on me. But I think it depends on how it's shot. Eric says, I assume you mean wouldn't mind having a California class ship. Well, Eagle Moss did recently state they're going to do a California class. So if you're into Eagle Moss, then congratulations, you can get one soon. I think the California class is a dorky looking ship, but I like it better than I like it better than the Galaxy class. And Z says, but the D has nothing but nice things to say about you. How about a cappuccino in the lounge as Troy does yoga? No, thank you. First of all, Troy, ew. You know, and the funny thing, only the Enterprise D, you know, it only makes sense to have a ship's counselor on the Enterprise D. You know, that just only makes sense because, you know, they're all so worried about their feelings that they need to have a frickin' therapist on the ship. Not to mention, hey, you know, don't forget, you know what happens when the Borg show up? They cut out a section of the hull right next to the daycare center. That's the part that, you know, the deleted scene from Q Who that everybody missed out on was the fact that those 18 people that died, yeah, those were all the kids at the daycare center. You know, that's what people don't know. I think that for what you get with this game, it feels like a bit of a lazy cash grab. Really? I disagree. They spent a lot of money putting this together, especially when you look at the cutscenes. I mean, the cutscenes alone. I mean, they spent a lot putting those together. I mean, now, granted, Blizzard has already, you know, they've done some of the best cutscenes in video game history, and they continued with their reputation with this. But I understand, you know, if you don't like it, I understand, you know. I was looking at the DeLorean or the Ecto builds, but they just take too long. Yeah, 33 months is crazy. Now, I do understand, you know, from what Cinnabon said, is that you can speed it up. 18 kids is like, what, 5 to 6 adults? Yeah, something like that. Jason says, dang it, someone's favorite ship. Well, I'm sure that there's always, you know, Blizzard is always a cash grab. You know what? First of all, let me say this. I hate the term cash grab, and I'll tell you why. everything that every business does is a cash grab. You know, what do you think businesses do? I mean, my goodness. I'm so sick of people thinking, oh, they're just doing that to make money. Yeah, they're freaking businesses. Everything every business does is to make money. So, you know what? If you don't want businesses to make money, don't buy anything. Because guess what that Enterprise D Build It kit is? It's a cash grab. You know, guess what everything you ever buy is? It's a cash grab. So if you don't believe in cash grabs, I guess you just can't buy anything. So, you know, get over it. Oh, that movie's just a cash grab. Yeah, along with every other movie ever made. You know, I'm so sick of, you know, and then we want to continue the war with, oh, the developers are bad, and then the developers say, oh, the fans are bad, and we go back and forth with this crap, right? And Wesley says, playing without me. Well, actually, I was having trouble getting onto the servers, and this is a different character. Hopefully that character will work, because my other characters, one of them just disappeared completely. Another one I was trying to load and couldn't get to load. But no, this is not the character that we were playing with. And so, well, I didn't know what your schedule was, Wes. So, yeah. Yeah. If you hate, you know, and I understand if you hate capitalism, fine. Just say, and that's what I'm going to say from now on. If you want to, if anybody says that's a cash grab, you just hate capitalism. Fine. You hate capitalism? Great. Then, you know, go be a commie or whatever you want to be. I don't care. But, you know, stop saying, oh, it's a cash grab. So is everything else. As far as hating on people that work at a place and therefore that makes the product bad, that's something called the genetic fallacy. And you know, I'm sick of that crap too. I really am. You know what? Yeah, there are people at Blizzard that are jerks. You know what? There are jerks that work at every major corporation everywhere. And you know what? I don't give a crap. I don't care about the people that work at Blizzard. I really don't. Because you know what? As soon as I start caring about what the attitudes of all the people that work at Blizzard are, then I'm going to have to start caring about what the attitudes of all the people that work at Microsoft are. And I'm going to have to start caring about what all the attitudes of the people that work at Apple are. And I'm going to have to start caring about what all the attitudes of the people that work at Samsung are. And every other company that I do business with. And guess what? I'm not going to be able to do business with anybody because there are jerks that work for every company. There are jerks that work for every single company. Whatever your political ideology is, especially if it's anything other than whatever you consider the agenda of the day is, then you're going to find people that you disagree with in those companies. And so, yeah, you're having trouble with one ears as well, yeah. And so so if you don't like the people that work at the company and therefore you're not going to do business with that company,
this holy place has been
great.
desecrated.
Are you going to now do a full comprehensive investigation of every company that you're going to do business with? Are you going to? Because if you don't, you're a complete hypocrite. That's why I get on people like when people were all boycott Disney over the Gina Carano crap. I got so pissed off about that. Not because I supported Disney and the Gina Carano crap. First of all, I think the Gina Carano crap was overstated. But it wasn't about the Gina Carano crap. It was about the fact that nobody gave a crap about what they were really saying. Because if you're really saying that I am not going to do business with Disney because Disney fired a person over their political differences, well then, are you going to no longer do business with any company that fires someone because of a political difference? Because if so, guess what? You're never going to watch another movie or television show ever. And yet nobody's willing to be intellectually honest enough to admit that. And instead, they just say, oh no, this was some exceptionally bad thing. No, it really wasn't. This was Tuesday. You know, this was not Disney being some crazy company in Hollywood. This was a typical thing where someone who, first of all, wasn't even working for Disney, making a tweet that was not a politically popular thing to say in Hollywood, and then a spokesperson for Disney being asked about it. And of course you disagree with me, Wes. Why wouldn't you? Because you're, shut up, Wesley. Because Will Wheaton, and that's, so let me ask you, if you're going to judge a company and an entertainment franchise, by the way, so, if people are going to say, oh, I'm not going to watch Disney, and this is a serious question for y'all. Oh man, I've been in the South too long. I said y'all. Anyway, serious question for y'all. If you're going to seriously suggest that we should not participate in watching Disney programs or anything because of the fact that Disney is that Disney is not rehiring Gina Carano, or at least not supportive of Gina Carano, whatever. So, fine, you take that position. Why do any of you still watch Star Trek? Because if you do, you're a complete and utter hypocrite. Unless you're willing to say that you support what Will Wheaton said about the former president. Right? So you're all okay with Will Wheaton wanting the former president dead, right? That's okay. Because obviously, Viacom CBS seems to think that that's okay. And so therefore, by extension, you're all okay with that since you're all watching Star Trek, right? So if you're boycotting Disney because of Gina Carano, but you're not boycotting Viacom CBS after Will Wheaton, you're a hypocrite. And that's why I don't do that crap. That's why I don't give a crap about what I honestly, I don't watch Entertainment Tonight. I don't watch Inside Edition. I don't watch shows about the people who are producing games or producing shows because I know they're all a bunch of lunatics. And Wesley says, let me on, please. Well, I don't have a StreamYard thing going, but I can bring one up here. Hold on. Man, you're making it difficult for me, Wes. But let me see what I can do here. We'll bring up, where's the Untitled Show one? We'll bring that. Oh, shoot. It's going to screw up the camera, You're going to make this all messed up, aren't you? Oh, no. Okay, good. It's set to. So we'll stop camera. And enter studio. And then we'll go to invite, copy to clipboard. Wesley, hold on. I'm trying to. Jeez. Getting it set up. You don't pay attention. So now Wesley wants to argue with me. Hold on. And no, Thomas, you're not invisible, I promise. All right, since you guys want to argue, I'll put this up here. If any of you want to reasonably talk about it, we can talk about it, but I need to know who you are before I'll let you into the room, just so you know. I don't let strangers in because, crazy people. Because people be cray-cray. And Swisker, thank you so much. Throws $5 in. Sends Salty, calm down, step back for a second. His position clearly didn't resonate with you. Jerk. And hey, Wes, how you doing?
It's not that I want to argue with you.
Yeah, I get the feeling you want to argue with me.
But you make general statements that you're making them make it sound like it applies to everyone, and not everyone's position is exactly the same.
Well, actually, the whole point of a general statement is that a general statement does apply to everyone.
So let's start from the top of your argument.
Okay.
What you're saying. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
So you're saying anyone that says they want to boycott X company because they did blah blah is a hypocrite if they don't do it to any other company that does the same thing.
If you want to boycott company X for the moral behavior of that company's employees, then you are a hypocrite if you do not boycott any companies whose employees exhibit the same behavior.
Can we define boycott?
Okay, if you refuse to do business with company X because of what you perceive as immoral behavior from its employees, then you must, to be intellectually honest and to be an intellectually sound individual, you must refuse to do business with any and all businesses that exhibit the same behavior from its employees. But you also are now obligated to investigate if those employees are doing that, because if you're going to make a decision to do business or not to do business with a company because of the moral attitudes of the employees of that company, you have an obligation to know if that kind of behavior is taking place. Because you can't just say, oh, well, I'm going to do business with Google and just assume that those people are all good, but I'm not going to do business with Yahoo because I heard that their CEO is a jerk.
But there's a big difference of the way companies can handle things. For example, with Regina, if they would have just said, we wrapped up on that season 2 of The Mandalore, and we're not sure if we want to bring her back for season 3. That would have been a world of difference of the way they
That's pretty much what they said. The guy, when they asked her, the person, first of all, the spokesperson that was asked was not specifically a spokesperson for The Mandalorian. He was just a Disney spokesperson. And they said, what do you think about Gina Carano's tweets? And the guy said, well, to the best of my knowledge, Gina Carano doesn't work for Disney. That's what he said. And he said, but we don't agree with the content of those tweets. That's all that was said. Was, to the best of my knowledge, she doesn't work here. And there are no plans to bring her on. But everybody was like, oh my gosh, she got fired.
I mean, there was something else you said, but for example, I don't watch any other, a lot of shows. I don't watch Star Trek because of what's been going on with
right, I get it. But
Join my army of undead.
Now you got the army of the undead coming after me. Come on, die already. I need to get the volume on the game down so that I can hear you better.
But prior to that though, they were real but on
Sisters.
different things that she had tweeted out, she was getting flack for by Disney.
Because she was saying things that disagreed with the company's stance on stuff, which you don't, which that's something you generally is considered in poor taste in Hollywood. You don't, why do you think Robert Downey Jr. doesn't tweet a bunch of conservative stuff? The only big name actor that constantly is tweeting his genuine opinions on stuff on that right now is William Shatner, and that's because he's old enough to not give a crap anymore.
That's true.
All right, so he just doesn't care what anybody thinks of him anymore, and that's fine. He's in a position to be able to do that. But if you're an active actor, and no, Thomas, I didn't need to turn Wesley up, but I needed to turn the game volume down a little bit so I could hear him okay. Anyways, if you are an actor in Hollywood, one thing you do not want to do is say things that the studio might take umbrage to, because guess what happens to your job potentials if you do?
That's just a sad state of affairs, though. Is the things she said were not really that out of line. It's just the mentality in Hollywood.
She compared the plight of conservatives in America to the plight of Jews in the 1940s.
No, it's not what she did.
That is what she did, and that's what people that is considered highly offensive to some people. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with what she did. Her
statement is the mentality of people turning on each other's neighbors is like what happened in Germany.
She was comparing that to conservatives today. She was basically trying to suggest that conservatives today were in a similar plight as Jews were in the 1930s and 40s in Germany. And there are a lot of people that get tired of hearing that kind of rhetoric. And by the way, while I don't know, I'm not saying that her analogy was 100% incorrect, but at the same time, I do think that whenever you start comparing people to the Germans in the 1940s, it's a mistake, because that's a comparison that is used way too often and is almost never a just comparison. Because we all know what ended up happening to the Jews in the 1930s and 40s.
Yeah, that's what she was pointing out. That's how it started.
Right, but you know what?
Turning neighbor on neighbor.
Yes, but you know what? Nobody is talking. The problem is that nobody is talking about rounding up conservatives and putting them in gas chambers, right? Nobody.
I've heard people talking about rounding up people who refuse to take the vaccine. Quarantine them, putting them in quarantine camps.
Yeah, people are talking about if people get sick to quarantine them.
No, there was talk about anyone who refused to take the vaccine.
You know what? Do you really think in the United States today that they're going to start Wait. Do you honestly think that in the United States today they're going to start rounding up people that haven't taken the vaccine and saying, okay, we're going to throw you in a concentration camp? Do you really think that that's going to happen?
The way things are going?
Yeah. Do you honestly think that?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so you
I
genuinely think that, because I will tell you, I think you are full of crap if you believe that you are Batwoman crazy. Because I think that the minute that happens, that every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to go for their guns, and we're going to have a revolution on our hands. I don't think that there is any way in hell that happens. I'm sorry. That is absolutely insane to think that could actually happen.
It is insane that I think it could happen, but I think that we could get that far of society degrading, but society is degrading faster.
We had people storm the effing Capitol because they thought that there was cheating, right? You think that they're going to actually be able to get away with rounding people up?
We did in the 40s. It's the Japanese.
Yeah, that was the 40s. This ain't the 40s.
Has times really
And
changed?
then that was the Japanese. We're not talking about the Japanese. And that's the other thing, is that you're talking about playing on people's xenophobia in that case. This isn't playing on xenophobia.
You haven't seen how bad that everyone, both sides,
Mm-hmm.
have gone, oh, you're not on my side, you're the enemy.
Right, but I have
Little
seen...
while.
I have seen the most bizarre... First of all, I think people that are anti-vaxxers are Batwoman crazy. I'm sorry, but they're science deniers. They are Batwoman crazy, and they are and they need to just, get over themselves and take the frickin' shot. It's, you know what? They're not pumping poison into your veins. I promise you.
How do you know?
I took the vaccine. I'm not dead.
How do you know what's in there doesn't take...
Oh my
viruses?
gosh, you know what? You're right. I'm going to die in 20 years. Oh wait, I'm probably going to die in 20 years anyway. So, I'm not worried about it. The problem is everybody thinks, oh, this vaccine was just developed 2 years ago. The vaccine was developed in 1990. That's the problem. Everybody thinks this vaccine was just developed like yesterday. And the funny thing is, all the anti-vaxxers were pro-vaxxers a year ago. They were pro-vaxxers when Donald Trump was president. But now they're they're anti-vaxxers because the presidency switched parties. I'm not talking about anybody specifically. I know everybody says, well, that's not me. Well, maybe not. But the general movement has switched parties.
See, yeah, you're making these wide sweep, accusations.
Right. It's psychohistory.
It doesn't match up with most individuals.
It absolutely does match up with most individuals. It doesn't match up with all individuals. That's the difference. People try to take the extreme and make that the norm. That's what you're doing. You're saying that's okay, since it doesn't line up with 100%, that means that most people it must not line up with. That's not the case. It does line up with most people. And the problem is that people are like going absolutely crazy thinking that, oh man, this virus is, this virus is a Chinese conspiracy to wipe us all out, and now that the United States government is trying to kill you with some crazy vaccine conspiracy, and these same people were telling you that Donald Trump is going to save us with this vaccine a year ago. And these same people, by the way, were also telling us that Donald Trump was saving us from the Queen of England, who was killing children and drinking their blood. Look it up. This is the kind of crap they were telling us. All right? Same people with the Jewish space lasers, right? These are the people we're talking about. And so these people are telling you this crap, and you're buying it hook, line, and sinker. Why? Because people are desperate for something to point the finger at and blame for the fact that everything is crazy right now. Because the world has gone nuts, and people want to blame something.
And it's that statement. The world has gone nuts, and everyone wants to point the finger at everyone else. I do agree with that statement.
Right. And so if we have something nice and easy to blame, and conspiracy theories are great for that. And because conspiracy theories, we don't need to have proof. We just need to have, a good enough idea that happens to fit the facts. And that's what we do. And so, and the irony of it is that, yes, it was absolutely, the QAnon people were absolutely convinced that Donald Trump was saving the world from a child sex ring that was headed up by Hollywood celebrities and the British royal family and all this crap. And that Donald Trump was like this superhero trying to save the world, and that he was going to free us all from COVID with this wonderful vaccine, and then all of a sudden, Joe Biden becomes president, and oh no, the vaccine is a conspiracy in and of itself. It's going to kill you. Oh, you don't know what's in that vaccine. Well, you don't know what's in any vaccine. You don't know any vaccine you've ever taken. You don't know what's in it because, and people say, well, you're not a doctor. Yeah, neither are you. And, you don't, unless you happen to be a doctor, in which case you wouldn't be arguing with me right now. And so what I tell people is, fine, don't listen to me, listen to your doctor. If your doctor says take the vaccine, then take the bloody vaccine.
And what if your doctor says don't take the vaccine?
Well, then don't. But your doctor is going to give you a reason. And I'm not talking about having some doctor that works out of a cabin in the middle of the woods.
No, that's not what I...
All right. A doctor, and I'm not talking about your chiropractor or your veterinarian. And by the way, if you're taking horse tranquilizers to try and deal with COVID, that's probably not the best idea.
Okay, you know that medicine was designed originally for people, and they discovered that it was helpful for horses, but that's besides the point.
Right,
So
but you also realize that there's a vaccine for COVID, and you don't need to take veterinary medicines for it. And people raiding veterinary clinics to get, because there are also human grade medicines and animal grade medicines, and you don't take animal grade medicines for humans. And yet people are taking animal grade medicines for humans because they're stupid. Because people think, oh, it's got the same name on it, therefore I could just take it. Because I saw on Reddit that I can take this horse medication and it'll cure my COVID. And so that's the problem, is that people read crap on the internet, and for whatever reason, they read some post on Reddit written by some anonymous person, and they think that's gospel truth. But then their doctor says take a vaccine, and it's a conspiracy. Why? Because the person on Reddit said it's a conspiracy. Oh, and I'm sorry, I didn't see that, John. Let me... Having a fun-filled conversation here. Let me... And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're not entitled to have your opinion. John DeMarco, thank you, says, let's talk about something we can all agree on, like how awesome Officer Kathy is. Thank you, John. Yes, indeed. How awesome Officer Kathy is.
Officer Kathy?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Ah.
Come on, you love Kathleen Kennedy, don't you?
Let's not dig into that hole. But it does feel like you're overreaching on some of your explanations and kind of pulling on strings. You're pointing at the extreme, ends of people on these sides.
Generally speaking, vaccinations, I mean, because here's the problem. If you look at the science of it, people who are vaccinated are less likely to get COVID. People who are vaccinated who do get COVID tend to have it less severely. The vaccine is in fact helping. Now, if you want to argue that the vaccine's not 100%, that's correct, and that's true of every vaccine ever.
And a very small percentage can have very dire replication.
Which is true of every vaccine ever. So should you just not ever get a vaccine? Are you anti-vax for your kids? Should kids not be, should we have never done the polio vaccine? Should we not do any vaccinations ever?
I like how I finally I'm able to say one or two words and then you cut me off.
Well, because the problem is that the argument you're making can be made for every vaccine.
I didn't even get an argument in. Sure.
A small percentage of people have a severe reaction. That's true of every drug and every vaccine.
And so should it be required for 100% of people to get it? because that's what Biden wants to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Every company with 100 employees.
Unless you're allergic to it, yes.
No,
You
those
can.
companies are going to force people to get the vaccine, even if
Mm-hmm.
their primary care doctor recommends they don't.
First of all, I think that if a person can demonstrate that they are allergic to something in the vaccine, which you can be tested for that kind of stuff. If a person can demonstrate that they're allergic to something in the vaccine, or they're in such frail health that the vaccine could likely kill them. First off, and they're in such frail health that the vaccine could probably kill them, they probably wouldn't be working.
Yeah, they wouldn't be working.
But if they're allergic to something in the vaccine, and their company says, well, then you have to get the vaccine, or you're going to get fired, there's a lawsuit. And you may not be able to sue the vaccination company. You know, you can't sue Pfizer or whatever, but you can absolutely sue your employer.
And I bet you we're going to see a lot of that.
I don't think we will. I honestly don't, because first of all, I know that, because here's the problem. Everybody's saying it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. What we're not seeing is it's happening. Well, we're not seeing, I know that Joe Biden said, I think we should make everybody get the vaccine, but that doesn't mean that Joe Biden actually has the power to do it. It just means that he thinks we should. Joe Biden overstepped when he said that. I think that I think that was a stupid thing for him to say, because the President of the United States, while he can basically make it a requirement of companies that do business with the federal government, that you vaccinate your employees, but he can't say all businesses have to vaccinate. They can also make it a requirement for public schools, which, by the way, vaccines are already a requirement for public schools. And so if people are going to get mad about this vaccine, then they should get mad about all the other vaccines that are already a requirement. But that's the problem. Everybody wants to get mad about this vaccine because they think this vaccine is like made of arsenic and I don't know, the tears of orphans or something.
It was a lot and very quick. I mean, there's a difference between,
because we're in a pandemic,
recommending something and it being like forced in your face everywhere you turn.
Well, what do you? Let me ask you this: if you have a potentially deadly virus, and
now, I don't want to.
Well, no. You said it. It's so quick and all that. So then, if you want to argue that, well, then they shouldn't have done this, well, then you need to have an alternative. What do? You can either do a complete, because honestly, the only other solution compared to mandatory vaccinations to everybody, the only other realistic solution is a complete and total lockdown, like what China did. That is the only other real way to combat it. And that's not going to fly. Everybody will start screaming, I got my rights, I'm going to go out and party. And in fact, look at what happened in many states when they tried to do lockdowns. All of a sudden, everybody started throwing illegal parties and gatherings just to throw it in the face of the government, saying, you can't stop me, I have my rights. And so people would intentionally do things that would spread the virus just because the government was trying to stop the spread of the virus. And how do you fight idiocy?
You have a lot of loaded things in there.
Huh?
Take me a while. You have a lot of loaded things in there.
Well, I'm sorry, but what else do you call it? What else do you call it when, if the government says, okay, we have a deadly virus out there, guys, we need to do things to prevent it from spreading, and so everybody says, screw you, I have my rights, we're going to have a big kegger.
Well, I do think that, social gatherings like that was really dumb moves.
Right.
There was not enough evidence that that lockdowns for long periods of time would help at all. I mean, you remember when I said, "Oh, just 2 weeks, isolate, stay at home for 2 weeks." Oh no, let's turn it to a month. Oh, let's turn it to 6 months. 18 months later.
Because you know what happened? Not enough people took it seriously. And that's where the difference between the United States and China. Don't get me wrong. I'm not supporting the Chinese method, but you know how they handled it in China?
Yeah, they literally killed people that would come out of their house.
They literally locked people in their houses under gunpoint and said, if you come out, we shoot you dead. And guess what? The virus stopped dead in its tracks. And so, but people in the United States, they're saying, okay, guys, only come out if it's necessary. And all of a sudden, everything became necessary. And Moroccan Secret Agent Review Tech USA, man, there's a name that just rolls off the tongue, says, is the solution what Australia is doing right now? I don't know what Australia is doing right now, so I could not answer that. What is Australia doing right now?
Probably taking away their guns again.
Huh?
It was just a.
I couldn't hear you. What'd you say?
It was just a quick wit joke.
Okay.
Of them taking away their guns.
Yeah. The problem is that we have the United States, the people of the United States are born and bred to be fiercely independent. Right? That's just who we are. And we're not interested in the greater good. We're not interested in helping out, sacrificing for our neighbors. What we're interested in is our rights. And we're not going to give up our rights for anything. And they'll make arguments that, hey, I'm healthy, therefore I shouldn't have to wear a mask. Because it's not a danger to me. Because if I get the virus, it's probably not going to even kill me. It'll just be a bad cold.
And that's what's true for majority of young people.
And so what happens then, you get it, and it's just a bad cold for you. And then, you get your bad cold, and, you have a little cough, like I just coughed off to the side there, and your little germs float around and get on grandma, and grandma gets it and dies.
Well, first off, you'd have to be in close proximity of grandma.
You're at the grocery store and you cough, and someone else's grandma is at the grocery store and she gets it and dies. And you don't even know about it. So what do you care?
So, how many grandmas were out during the first couple months?
Right. So we should just make every old person, just lock them up, right? So now we should just round up the old people.
Well, they try to do that with everyone.
Okay, so there's your solution then. That's what you're saying, is round up. Now you've gone from we shouldn't be rounding up non-vaccinated people. We should be rounding up old people. We should be rounding up the high-risk people and putting them in concentration camps.
How about each individual person has the choice every single day of their life of when they go outside or when they don't, and every single time you get in a car, you have a factor of dying. So every single
We
time...
don't always have a pandemic going on, though.
We don't?
No, we don't always have a pandemic going on.
We don't have flu every year. We don't have...
And you know what? Grandma and Grandpa are usually taking the flu vaccine if they're smart. Hey, John, you have a good one.
And Grandma and Grandpa should take the COVID vaccine.
Uh-huh. Oh, so they should take the vaccine. You just shouldn't.
Well, okay. You're putting words in my mouth.
Well, no, because but the problem is that you're being
maybe there are some people that would have that argument.
well, but you see, the problem is that the way you're describing it is you're just putting it off on other people. What you're doing is you're saying that it's up to them. It's not. None of it's on me. It should all be on them.
It should be on each individual person.
No, you're saying it shouldn't. It should be on them.
Make a choice.
Because I shouldn't have to wear masks. They should. I shouldn't have to take a vaccine. They should. No, we should all wear masks and we should all take the vaccine, because if we actually all took the vaccine and we all wore masks, then we could knock this thing out. But since we're unwilling to all participate, it continues to spread. And that's why we...
You're doing a lot of so you're saying.
What do you mean?
I get about half of a statement in, and then you reply with, "Oh, so you're saying blah 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 blah," and that's
sorry.
not what I'm saying.
Well, I'm sorry, but okay. So what am I saying that's inaccurate?
What I'm saying is everything should come down to individual choice. Do I want to go out today? Well, I need to go to work, so I need to take the risk of going out today and getting in my car on dangerous roads. Oh, and then that would apply for COVID. Well, I need to work today, so I need to go out in an environment where I could catch COVID, and then I could bring it back home with me to my older parents. But at the end of the day, though, it was my choice to go out and risk those chances to live life. And we all have to make those risk analysis of, do I want to do this or not risk it?
Right.
Well, I mean, my work did not close a single day. My work was busier than Black Friday.
Neither did mine.
Every day for 4 months. And yes, people wear masks. They're not even like N95 masks. They just grab like a sock and put over their face.
Right. I didn't get any time off from work either.
But so now when it's coming to the vaccine, it should again still be up to choice of, hey, we highly recommend this vaccine because look, here's the data that we have so far. Even though it's not a lot of data, because I've believed, and the study I've tried to look into this, but I'm not a medical expert. But this is a different type of vaccine than flu vaccines we've had in the past. But besides that point, there's a difference of recommending and trying to persuade the populace into something and forcing them. And I think we're getting to that point is where it's going to be forced upon people.
Right.
You know, both my parents got the vaccine fairly early on, and I was a little hesitant, and I waited a little bit of time. But I'm vaccinated now. But there'd be a world of difference if my work came to me and like, you have to get the vaccine, otherwise you're fired. There's some people that say that they have religious problems with getting this one.
Right.
I don't know how it'd be different than older ones, but
I know some people that I know at least one person that is not getting the vaccine for religious reasons, and apparently it works the same way as other religious exemptions. And while I disagree with that person, because I don't think that even that person is a Christian, and I don't think the Bible says anywhere that thou shalt not get vaccinated, but that's up to that individual, and I understand that individual is just something we disagree on. I don't consider that a salvation issue, so it's a minor issue as far as I'm concerned. I think that but I think that the problem, though, is that why. So we have to look at, why do you think it's being forced on people? Is it being forced on people because the government is trying to do something nefarious, or is it being forced because not enough people are doing it.
Or third possibility, it's a little bit of both.
No, it's not a little bit of both. It is one or the other. The government is not, trust me, the government's not going to be halfway nefarious. Either the government's doing, I think that I know that a lot of people are very quick to just immediately accuse the government of being evil all the time. However, I do agree with what Bird of Prey 5 said on it. Don't necessarily subscribe to evil what can be ascribed to incompetence. Right? If they've tried and tried and tried and begged and pleaded people to please do this, and people just don't do it, right? And people scream, "We got my rights. I got me rights. I can't. You ain't gonna force me to do anything." And you were even saying your whole argument is, well, everybody should make their individual choice. No, this is not a matter of individual choice. This is a matter of the public health. And so if you're going to make an individual choice, then you are endangering other people. And so, no, this is not about, sometimes the greater good does become more important. Sometimes the needs of the many does, in fact, outweigh the needs of the few. As much as I hate that line, and I do hate that line, sometimes it is true. And the problem is that we just don't we don't want to ever acknowledge that, because as Americans, what we want is to, just be, we just want to have our independence. We want to have our individual rights. We want to be able to do what we want to do, and we want to be able to choose what we do. And if the government is telling us to do it, then we're not, by default, we're not choosing to do it.
I'm sure your chat is probably all fired up over this conversation.
Yeah, most of them hate it.
That's the only reason I really wanted it up, is because you go on these tangents and you have no feedback. You have no one checking you. If anyone else could have taken the role that I did, probably even better than me.
And by the way, and so someone, and I know it was mentioned in the chat earlier, I do want to point out, so the interesting thing about the AIDS pandemic in comparison to this one is that AIDS, unlike this, is a 100% preventable disease. And so it's, yes, I know, you don't like this conversation, but AIDS is very easily preventable.
Are you talking to a family member or a pet?
Yeah, who do you think I'm talking to there? I mean, you're not watching the live stream. I have a little bat creature that keeps jumping up on my shoulder. Anyway,
No,
but I just want I forgot to address that earlier when it came up in the chat, but I wanted to. But that's the big difference. Like even though they've been, there's no AIDS vaccine, obviously, but AIDS is very easily prevented. And in fact, very few people in the modern era get AIDS without, intentionally doing something that, could be done slightly differently to prevent getting it. Yeah, you're just chewing on that stick, aren't you?
How is your new puppy, by the way?
She's sitting right next to me. If you were watching the live stream, you'd know that.
I am looking at it now.
Cute gerbil. What are you talking about, Cinnabon? Wow. Let's see. These says, The rate of fatality is as high as 3% depending on the region and access. Health skipped over the other 5 to 15% needing some serious medical intervention. ICUs and anti-mask states are at zero capacity now. And then, the typical, it does not happen to me, so it's fake argument. And then, on one side, every epidemiologist, every National Health Service, the CDC, every doctor association, every major health-leaning college, get the vaccine and mask up. And yes, gerbils do love to chew, but so do puppies. But that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, with the funny thing is that yeah, if the medical community is pretty unified on this for the most part. There aren't that many doctors that are out there saying, you know what? Yeah, you don't need masks. You don't need vaccines. You know what we all need? We all just need to start hugging it out. That's how we're going to beat this thing. You know, that's not generally what's there. You know, you get the occasional person that says that, but generally those people are quacks. You're not talking, for the most part, and people will say, oh, well, but this doctor, they changed their stance on this or on this or on this. Well, yeah, the problem is that, as you know, this pandemic, as it was unfolding, new information comes out. They had to adjust some things. And so was it 100% consistent as far as the information? No. But one thing that is true is that masks can help prevent the spread, and the vaccine helps prevent the spread. But people don't want to deal with it because people want to make their choice, and the only way. And the funny thing is that if you look at states where people don't get the shot, guess what? More people are getting sick right now.
Where are you getting those statistics from?
Look it up yourself. I live in Tennessee, where we have the vaccination rate here is stupid low, and yes, a lot of people are getting sick here right now. Yeah, I know. And then you have idiots out there like Alex Jones, who likes to tell people that apparently chemicals make frogs gay and that the vaccines give people COVID. But he's giving people fake numbers and he's giving people misleading numbers. And he says, oh, go look it up. But when you actually look up the numbers that he tells you to look up, yeah, you can see that he's giving you fake numbers. Yeah, I know. Anyway, I do need to run because the puppy is whining at me, which means she probably needs to go to her kennel, and I can't do that while I'm still streaming.
Oh, darn, I was hoping to get to play some Diablo.
Well, I'm probably stream again in, I don't know, probably an hour or two.
I mean, that was the real reason I went on it.
Oh, I see. So you came on to pick a fight. Maybe you could have said, hey, can we play? Instead of, hey, let's pick a fight about the vaccine.
Fight?
Did you get your gerbil puppy vaccinated for rabies? Not yet, but she will as soon as she goes to her first vet. But she hasn't gotten chipped yet either, but we're going to do that very soon. So, yeah, you don't have rabies, do you? I hope not. All right. So, yeah. So this has been a fun conversation. Thanks, Wesley.
Hey, I didn't start it.
You kind of did. All right, guys. So I'll probably stream again later because this thing's not going to let me sleep. You're just not. And so.